Good morning. Please welcome Mark Mechelse, who leads Consumer and Shopper Insights at the Global Market Development Center, a strategic partner of IHA.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? Thanks again for coming in so early. I know it's bright and early and it's 7:30, but we really appreciate your time today. We've got a great lineup for you in regards to getting a discussion going that is really a hot topic inside every boardroom, both in the suppliers as well as retailers. Thanks for coming, because what you're about to hear today is not only a hot topic, but we have some really profound truths to share with you as well in regards to consumer share of spend. So what does that look like? We have a panel here that I'll introduce in just a moment to talk about what is the impact of a lot of that share of spend between the physical and the virtual wallet that we see attacking brick and mortar, but also we're going to highlight some differentiations today as well, where we really believe that physical brick and mortar truly can win. First of all, as mentioned, my name is Mark Mechelse. I'm from Global Market Development Center, and we are basically an association, a nonprofit retail-owned association that truly connects retailers and suppliers. So if you think of Match.com, we are that for the retail industry as well as the suppliers. And we don't monetize the system, and we also produce events as well as immersions. What you see up on the screen are is some of the sampling of what we bring to market to service the industry. We have an initiative called Retail Tomorrow, where we put retailers and suppliers directly in the face of innovation. We run a general merchandise conference that's coming up in Denver in June. And then something new to us is the Self-Care Summit. And that's health and wellness based, but also a massive consumer movement that we say is driving more and more traffic into the retail store. So let me go ahead and introduce our panel today. We have Mike Anthony from Engage Consultants, who will take us through where's the consumer going, what are some retail, not best practices, but next practices. We have Sheri from HEB, Peter Fahrenkopf from Shurtech. We have Greg Hott from Weis Markets, and Scott Bradshaw from Bradshaw Home. This is our GMDC member group. So what we're looking forward to bringing all of you in today is basically do a live conversation of what happens inside the GMDC ecosystem. So let's start to get right into it. We see massive consumer trends and change. What is that predicated upon? It's really the rise of the shopper and rise of the consumer. That consumer now has a supercomputer in the back of their pocket that they can buy anything, anywhere, at any time, and in many cases also any price that they dictate at. We see that truly changing the face of retail, but also changing e-com as well. So what we're about to reveal today is what we call the tale of two different wallets. How do we think about how the consumer has a high propensity to say, when I need something, I'm going to go online or I'm going to go into a store? That's really the battle and the struggle that's taking place today. And we know that buying something with your phone, we have a group that is highly skeptical, and we have another group, we have this big divide, but we have another group that says, I love it. It's convenient, it's really great, I can get something at my door, I don't have to make a trip. So that is changing and evolving the face of retail as we know it. This is a really interesting piece of insight that I hope is an example that tees this really up. What we see going on with toilet paper, this is a great example for the consumer share of spend. Based on some consumer surveys, we see that 75% of consumers are buying toilet paper, either quite frequently or less frequently, but they're going online. It's one of those items that you have to have. You need it in stock. What would I do without it? I don't want to think about it. I want to, as a consumer, hit the easy button and go ahead and make sure that's always around. It's something we can't live without. A little bit funny statistic on here, 95% of all consumers buy toilet paper. What's the other 5% doing? I don't know, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Two things that we are looking to debunk today for myths. One is that everything needs to go online. GMDC has a retail focus group that we lead, and every 60 days we ask that focus group two different questions. What do you not know today that you need to know tomorrow? And then what keeps you up at night? This is something that really has come out of our retail focus group. A lot of retailers are thinking, wow, everything's going online, so what do I actually put in my store? That's a myth. We'll go ahead and start to debunk it. These next two slides are really important. One is we see this as a traditional grocery store today. We see a lot of the non-foods, a lot of the housewares grouped together. So if we look at the path to purchase through that particular store, we can see as things are grouped and less traffic going in certain areas of the center of the store, GMDC has a unique aspect and vision for the store of the future. If you look through that list, and I won't go into the details, you can start to see where all of those products are starting to migrate and go online. What we'll highlight today is truly the housewares area that has a ton of relevancy still for brick and mortar. This is some of what we believe the store of the future will look like. It's highly engaging, it's also health focused, it's also very service oriented. And if you saw the pin drops that were in the previous store, this store, they're all scattered. They're truly set in the top of mind placement for that consumer based on their path to purchase. Second myth that we'll go ahead and debunk today. Error number 2, omni-channel kills all impulse purchases. This is a very important conversation in our ecosystem, but I think more importantly with this group here today, who really sits on our leadership council, our educational leadership council, and has a lot of voice in regards to, no, that's not what we're actually seeing in the store. And that's founded on good data, but also on the consumer surveys that we'll start to reveal throughout the day, or throughout this morning. This is also a very important slide. GMDC conducted not only consumer surveys, but worked very closely with a company called Profitero, who tracks not only omni-channel, but also a lot of Amazon data as well. Here's what we're finding, and that is, to debunk that myth that consumers are still going into the center of the store, we found last year that 7 out of 10 consumers who pack up the groceries, put them in the trunk, go park, and then say, I forgot this, I like the store, I need to go to get something else, or I just want to go, because I did everything online, I saved time, I can now go in the store and do some more browsing through the center of that store. Really interesting there. We also continue to see that omni-channel continues to grow ferociously, and we're predicting over the next few years that it will grow from the lower percentage we have today all the way up to 35%. And then where does it stop? That's really the question that we would like to answer today. A lot of our brick and mortar retailers that are on this panel probably wonder the same thing. When will that traffic start coming back? How do I find the differentiators for my store? And then how can I provide more value proposition to increase that traffic, but also be more relevant? So that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Mike Anthony, and he's going to walk us through some consumer trends and have some suggestions for our retailers.
Thank you very much. Let's just pop back to that slide. Good morning, everybody. Very early on a Sunday morning, after a pretty late night for some of you on a Saturday night, so thank you very much for coming. I've got the unenviable task of doing about tons and tons of research, tons and tons of insight in about 20 minutes. You're all feeling tired. I flew in from Thailand the day before yesterday, so I'm like 13 hours out of sequence with you guys. So every time you're feeling tired, just think how it feels for me. So thank you very much for joining me to come here. I've been working with Mark and GMDC on a new report that's coming out in the next 30, 60 days or so, which is going to share loads more of this data. There's only so much I can do in 20 minutes. So if you want to know more, check out the GMDC report or come and grab me or Mark after the show. So there's a lot of focus, a lot of talk about digital and e-commerce and how it's changing everything. And I'm going to talk a lot about people shopping online and how that affects their shopping. But I wanted to get one thing out of the way right up front. Not everybody buys their grocery shopping online. Depending which survey you look at, anywhere between 40 and 60% of American shoppers don't. So amongst all of the hype, all of the talk of changing the store, all of the things that we do need to do, it's important to recognize that there's a whole load of people shopping kind of the same way that people have been shopping for a long time. These people shop like archetypal housewives with a cart full of the week or 2 weeks worth of groceries. They shop once a week, maybe less, with the occasional top-up. They're older, they're less affluent, but they still command a big, big, big share of spend. So let's not forget about those people. Let's, however, look at our online shoppers. This data looks at the people who do shop online. So what I've done is I've taken out all of those traditional shoppers and just looked at these people. And if you look at the way they shop, category by category, you'll see one thing that's interesting. Even within a category, less than 20% of online shoppers buy that category exclusively online. About 20% of them buy some categories exclusively offline. And those big orange bars right across the middle, the big ones in every single category, those are shoppers who say, you know what, I buy this category online and offline. The battle is still there to be won. The opportunities are still there. Most people are open, at least to some extent, to buy pretty much anything offline or online. Let's meet our digitally engaged shopper. Yes, and no surprise, I guess, they're younger, they're more affluent. Millennials score way, way up the top end, high-income shoppers too, in terms of being digitally engaged. And these people shop differently. They're less likely to do a main shop in a mass merchant or a supercenter, though 50% of them still do. But they still do a large amount of offline shopping. Over 80% of our millennials in our surveys still shop offline. And by the way, I'm going to talk about millennials and high-income shoppers and things like that all of the time, but that's kind of a bit of shorthand. Back of our minds, remember, 25% of boomers buy their groceries online. So we can't simply define people by the demographics. They do a lot of offline shopping, and what we find is really interesting is that when people start shopping online, it has a significant impact on the way they shop. They don't just add online shopping to the normal way of shopping. They change the way they shop. They shop in more channels. They shop in more offline channels. Virtually every single channel we measured, these people are more likely to use all of those channels. It's almost like when you break up that big weekly shop, it fragments into loads of little pieces. These people love choice. These people aren't necessarily going to migrate everything online. They've got the choice of, as Mark said, being able to buy pretty much anything, anywhere, anytime. And they seem to really like it. Why? Well, this is an interesting slide. I find that it keeps coming back. You know, when people started building supercenters and hypermarkets and stores of that nature, they talked about the magic mix of getting a great range at a great price at a reasonably convenient location. Curation, cost, and convenience. Well, guess what? That's why people shop, period. Whether it's online or offline. People go offline because I get a great range. I can find products that I can't necessarily find in a store. People shop online because they can get a good deal. They see a great price, and that's enough to make people flip. And they shop online because it's convenient. Because I've got that supercomputer in the back of my pocket, or because the store is too far away, or I don't have the transport options, or they'll ship it for free, or it's really bulky. The reasons for shopping online are the same reasons people choose to shop anywhere. What online has done is kind of changed the paradigm of what convenient means for these people. Changes what good range means. And it changes potentially what they mean about price. It's also about the experience, though what's interesting is actually, and a good one for us to think of, particularly those of you who are retailers out there, it's a negative reason, not a positive reason. Most of our respondents didn't say, I shop online because it's a fantastic experience. They said, I bought this online because actually the offline experience sucks. How do we make that less sucky would be a really good learning for us as an industry to take forward. Bad news, I guess, if you're in offline retail, it's going to grow. There will be more online shopping in the future. Why? Because the barriers for doing that are going to go down. The biggest barrier to most people buying online is either it's not available to me, or you're going to make me pay for shipping. 57% of the people who said, I currently shop offline only, 57% said, give me free shipping, I'll give online a go. Shipping costs will come down. Some people will move online. Second reason, trip efficiency. There comes a point when a few items go to a discounter, a few items go to an online. Maybe I subscribe to a few more items. And that weekly shopping basket is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and at some point, a 45-minute drive to a store and walking around the store, and then a 45-minute drive back, it's just not worth it. And so people start dropping the frequency of that big shop. And the last thing is the demographic reality. Millennials are much more likely to shop online. They will grow up and they will take their shopping habits with them. So there is a little bit of a tide that's working against offline retail. But the growth is not consistent, and I don't see that it's a foregone conclusion either. If we look here, this is some projections from Planet Retail looking at 2023. Yeah, there's going to be some categories which are pretty much going to be online only. Going to be things like office and school supplies, which may be 2/3 online. But housewares, food and beverage, not so much. Because we see this fragmentation of shopping. People choosing to buy different things in different places at different times. And that is where the opportunity lies. Some of the other clues we can look towards are, why does an online shopper buy things offline? Well, guess what? Similar stuff. We buy it because you give me a good deal. We buy it because I really needed it urgently. I couldn't wait for a delivery. It's a convenience thing. We buy it for experience. There were people there. I want to talk to people. I want to see, touch, feel the product. It's a fun place to shop. We can win with experience. We can win with curation. They have a product that I can't get anywhere else. And we can win with impulse. All the people who normally shop online said, here's a category I normally buy it online, but I bought it offline today on impulse. If we can get people to come to the store, there is always an opportunity to sell. Always. So what do we need to do? We need to evolve what we're doing in stores to recognize that shoppers are shopping differently. And that when they come to our stores, they're not looking for the same shop that they were looking for 10 years ago. And different shoppers are looking for different things. Before I go on, I'm going to show you a very short video from a store in China run by Hema, which is owned by Alibaba. Just take a quick look at this. It's only about a minute, and then we'll talk some more. Okay, now there's loads of stuff I could unbundle in there, and I'm not going to talk about everything. There's lots of stuff about using technology and things like that. Don't really want to focus on that right now. I just want to pick up on a couple of things. Yes, firstly, they do delivery in 30 minutes. One of the keys to their success is the relatively low cost of delivery in a market like China. These stores have got an army of guys on motorbikes shipping this stuff straight out, and they'll get it to your door in 30 minutes. But they've got a different labor structure. They've got a whole different structure. But it's one of the keys to success, and one of the things we need to keep our eyes on. There's a couple of things there that do come through. These stores are configured for different people to do different things. You want to grab and go, you want to click and collect, or shop and deliver, you can do that. You want to come and have a meal, you can do that. You want to have something cooked right now, you can do that. You don't have to walk the entire store. Everything's set up in very small islands, which enables a different shopper to take a different route through the store, depending on what they want to do rather than what we want to do. They've also chosen here to focus on their winnable categories. In this case, it's about food and it's about fresh. Those are the things that these stores can win. Not just do well, win. Do better than anyone else. Do better than online. And that means they've deprioritized loads of other stuff. They've made food and fresh the hero of these stores. I'm not saying that's what every store should do, but I love the idea they've decided what they can win with, and everything else been pushed to the side. And that's really one of the first key learnings and key steps forward that retail needs to do. We cannot win with every category. So we've got to pick the ones we can win with. Choose those categories that we can deliver better than anybody else, and then put the focus into that. That's where we curate the perfect range full of exclusive products. That's where we apply human interaction, because that's one of the key differentiators that offline has versus online. It's where we apply technology to help people shop these categories and explore what we've got, and make sure that our range is not just expansive, but has exclusive too, a reason for coming to the store. Convenience is with us. It is the biggest driver of pretty much everything in modern life. Immediacy is important. Pace of shopping is important too. People go to the store because they said, I went somewhere nearby. I needed something quick. I need something now. So we need to configure stores to meet these missions. Stop forcing shoppers to shop the entire store. You know, like IKEA stores used to be, where you used to have to wind through the entire snake of a store to buy one item. You know what? As a retailer, forcing someone to go to a traffic driving category is kind of arrogant, a little bit abusive. Let shoppers shop the way they want to shop. If I've just come in to grab a few things, let me do that. Don't force me to walk 20 minutes through an entire store to find the 5 items I want. That's the way we need to really think about it, and become more customer-focused, more consumer-focused. Impulse, massive opportunity. Over half the people said, you know what, I normally buy this online, but I'll buy it offline on impulse. This is where housewares can come in. But we need to be smart about this impulse, making it mission-centric, making it fit with the mission that's brought the shopper to the store in the first place, and then making it convenient. If we've got a great solution for a houseware product, let's not put it in the middle of the store. People today, these people who have packed up their car and they've loaded their click and collect into the trunk, they may go into the store to pick something up, but they're not going to explore down 15 aisles to try and find it. At that point, you know what? Forget it. So smart thinking around impulse is a way to success. And if we're going to focus on loads of categories, if we're going to focus on winnable categories, and we're going to focus on smart and selective impulse, we need to think, as the Hermas stores do, to think about, well, maybe there are some categories we don't need. Or at least some categories we need to deprioritize. The idea of a shopper buying everything in under one roof is rapidly becoming something of yesterday. It's not for me to say which categories can go, but we can look at some on the chart here. And for retailers to question, if I really think about who I'm targeting, who my shoppers are, and what their missions are, do these products fit anymore? Are these winnable categories? Can we do sporting goods, fishing rods, better than a really good sporting store? Do they fit into an impulse strategy? And how many people go out doing their grocery shop and say, whoa, yeah, fishing rod, that's just what I need? Doesn't happen to me. So we need to think about that, and we need to think about which categories are going to fit this new world of an offline store as part of a omni-channel mix for digitally aware and engaged shoppers who are going to shop in lots of different places. And this is where thinking about consumers and shoppers differently is good. The categories that go online are often categories which are really important to me as a consumer. But as a shopper, not so much. Hands up here, anyone who has ever had a situation where they completely ran out of toilet paper at home. Exactly. One. It's all right. That must have been a very interesting day. There's always one. But not many, right? So okay, hands up here who gets excited about shopping for toilet roll. Hands up here, anyone who recommended a store because, whoa, they had an awesome selection of toilet roll. It sucks. We just want it there, right? That's all we want, is the product there at the point of consumption. I don't care about the rest. Diapers, the same. When my daughter was a kid, we had virtually an entire room of our house put aside for stocking up diapers, because you never want to run out, and boy, does she get through a lot of them. Again and again and again. Predictable products we need all of the time, products that are important to us as a consumer, but don't deliver as a shopper. I don't care about shopping for these products. I just want them to be there. In fact, some of these products, sanitary products, adult diapers, might even be a bit awkward or embarrassing to shop for. They're the ones that are going to go online. Whereas if we can deliver a great shopping experience, those are the categories that the offline store can win. So in summary, just some points here, really. How do you win? Be shopper-centric and play where you can win. Work out who we're targeting. Understand that different shoppers have different missions. Which missions are they likely to come to your store for? And what does that mean? Which of those missions are winnable? And which categories are winnable? Then focus unflinchingly on those. Recognize that there are going to be some categories we can't win. And work out whether we need to keep them, but deprioritize and shrink them down, so we've got like 2 or 3 brands instead of 10 or 15. Or maybe we should take that category out of the store completely to make space for the stuff we're going to do really well in. And remember, though, remember impulse. If we can make it relevant to the mission, and we can make it so that it's relatively easy and relatively convenient, people, even if they are committed to buying this category online most of the time, they're still really happy to buy it offline. So that's all I have to say. I'm going to pass back to Mark, who's going to chair the rest of the panel. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. I think what we all want to hear is, what does this mean in real time? What does this look like actually in the store? Where's the consumer producing traction? So we do have some questions for our panels. First of all, what are the shifts that you're seeing in the stores? And I think a sub-question to that is it offline going to online? Is it mass to specialty? I mean, there's all kinds of trends, but let's start with Sheri. Sheri, what are you seeing inside HEB?
Can you hear me now?
No. Switch.
All right, we'll pass microphones around. Can you hear me now? No? Still no?
We just
talk loud?
have to speak loud.
All right, I'll speak super loud here. So when we're looking at this from an HEB perspective, we're really looking at personalization and talking about how the consumer really needs that shop for them. We are a South Texas grocery store, and we really localize and are in regions. And we study who our customer is and understand how we're going to take care of that shopper by every single region that they live in, whether that's buying local product or them coming into those stores. At the end of the day, the shopper needs to have the experience regardless of what channel they want to shop. We will be naive if we say that shoppers are not moving, changing channels and looking at different channels, or at least dabbling in them. but we've got to make sure that in each channel that they're shopping in, that we're really speaking to that customer, and that's what's going to keep them in that channel.
Scott, can you speak to this as well? I think this is an important question considering the bakeware and the cookware and all the impulse we're speaking about and how it's related to food as well.
Yeah, the category is this working?
Barely.
That's working. Yeah.
All right. The categories that we play in kitchenware, whether it be kitchen tools, gadgets, bakeware, cookware, and you guys talked a lot about it, are highly impulsive and convenience categories. So, as far as shifts, we see these categories remaining vibrant in brick and mortar. Particularly driven by grocery and mass merchants. A high percentage of the type of products that we sell are sold in these channels, and so I think it was 13% of the business was shown to move to online in the next say 5 years or so. I think that's probably even a more aggressive number. So. Or a pretty aggressive number. So I think that as we see our categories that we play in developing over time, we're going to see consistency in brick and mortar, and it's really going to be driven by best in class merchandising that we see in grocery stores today, like at H-E-B or Weis. How do you merchandise the types of products that we sell with food better? Because that's how our stuff sells best, is with food. The retailers that are benefiting from the categories that we play in recognize this, and they're doing it through copient tie-ins with food product merchandising effectively. And the other thing is, our products are not high dollar volume or high dollar value. We're talking about things that sell for $15 or less. Not important to the online shopper, but very important in the grocery store environment. So, it's super expensive to ship something through an Amazon environment. We're not going to ship a peeler or a peeler to a consumer. You're going to ship maybe a cookware set, but the $15 and under purchase is going to remain super important in the grocery store. So honestly, we don't see a huge shift moving to another environment outside of that brick and mortar environment.
Great. Thanks very much. So moving on to that, you've talked about the migration of houseware in general and some of your products there. I just want to point this, I think, probably to Greg first of all. What is going online? What's not going online? What are you seeing?
Our customer base is basically looking for convenience and ease. They're basically time-starved, a lot of individuals. They're households with 2 or more children, usually from 1 to 5 years of age. Then we have the households that have the pet. And some pets are treated better than husbands, so they basically are well taken care of. We see in our online that we have a huge following in our baby area, and they do everything from housewares and baby items to baby toys and things of this nature. And also we started doing things a little differently. We started featuring our bakeware and a gadget line, and it had some success with planning like meals to go, the whole concept of meals to go, and make it easy for a customer to pick items that are related to meals to go, and fast and quick and efficient items. And these are specific items that we're trying to migrate to our customer base through the use of electronic couponing. We also found out through electronic couponing, the people that are using in the age group is 16 to 55, and they're using a lot of electronic coupons. Of course, we make it very easy when they come on our site. The coupons automatically applied if they have from the manufacturer, if they have selected that item. So that has helped us tremendously. They don't have to do a 2-click situation to apply the coupons. It's automatically applied. Basically, we found that our customers really are looking for not so much the deal, but convenience and they're the high coupon users. So it's all about convenience, and it's the time-starved society of today.
Great, thanks. Peter.
So we trade across a number of different categories and departments in the grocery channel and mass, and kind of break it down to a few different areas. If I look at our stationery business, and there were some numbers here, and we're seeing the impact in stationery specifically around what we'll call heavier users. We refer to them as SOHO customers, small office, home office, and those customers have really, we're seeing some of that migration to online, and it's impacted some of those retailers in that space, specifically superstores who've been impacted in that area. In grocery and in mass, it's a lot of impulse and, again, inconvenience. So those areas are important, continue to be important. In our hardware business, which is also very good for us right now in grocery, because those are small projects. Scott referred to small projects, lower price points, and immediacy need. If you have something you need to repair quickly, you can't wait to get it online. You got to get it right away. So we're seeing mission trips that are around critical areas that people are using those. One of the things that Sheri talked about, I think is important, is around localization and being able to take advantage of localization for consumers. We talked about different consumers in a lot of your charts. Localization is something we work with our retail partners a lot on, and through category manager, to make sure we have the right assortment in those stores, and simple things like blocking and tackling and execution of having products in the store when the customer's coming in for that trip. We can't fail them. We have to have that goods there. So when they come in to get it, it has to be on the shelf. So we spend a lot of time on that.
I think that's a really important piece. As these missions move and they change, and things like I need it immediately is one of the drivers that brings me to the store. You better have it there for me, right? Yeah. You can't let me down at that point. No, that's really good. So thank you. Let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to fire this, I think it's Sheri first. So in terms of bringing people to the store, maybe bringing them back to the store, getting them to buy more when they're there, what are you seeing works best as your core strategies?
Yep, so I will say on that one, it's really all about the shopper experience, 100%. I'll tag on to what Peter just said on that one. It is, when you talk about shopper experience, we lean heavily on GMDC and on the show, the International Houseware Show, to teach us really what's happening with the consumers and what is each consumer group wanting when they come into the stores. Then you have to couple that back with your store, specifically a specific store on a specific corner, and say who's shopping that store, and then how do you treat that customer, and what does that customer want to see from you. So the data that these guys gather for us is very, very helpful, and helps us try to make sure that we can personalize by store as we get there. And there's another good example I can talk through, and Scott will laugh on this one, but I took the category over about 1.5 years ago, and I went to Scott and Mona and I said, can you tell me why we carry 11 can openers on my gadget wall? I just don't understand. A can opener is a can opener, right? And the customer just wants a can opener. And they quickly educated me that the customer wants to touch and feel each can opener, because it's about the experience that they get when that can opener's in their hand. And that really made me step back and think about, okay, it's not just about the can opener. Let's look at that across many of our business units, and which items does the customer really want to touch and feel, and which items does it matter? And I think that's how we have to approach this business as we're looking at the specific product within each commodity, and understand how we're going to, which items we need to market in that way, and which items can go online and it be okay. And I think that's why you're going to see housewares migrate a little bit slower than some of the other areas, simply because the customer still wants to have that in-person experience. I'm also going to say store experience is super important. So having a person there that can answer the questions and that can help you is another big piece for us.
That's
Great,
really
I like
interesting, because I believe that a lot of the research that we're doing at GMDC as well, having that type of selection and the different feels and touches has a self-care component to it as well. Someone with arthritis who's trying to peel potatoes needs something with a softer grip and probably larger. Greg, from a Weis market perspective, what's your perspective on
I agree with Sheri on the panel up here about the localization. We're big into localization on strategies. We want to be the best provider of food and housewares in the marketplace. In our marketplace, we do a big community push. with our localizations. We do a lot of benefits for our local schools, fire departments, police, and we do and medical care in the aging areas. And we basically do this to get our customers satisfied, the total concept in our stores. And then we also do, through our online, a little bit unique, we do a lot of data mining for what our customers actually want and need. And we do send them once every 6 weeks a coupon out specifically for the items that they use. And we found that's a great strategy to get them back. And then one strategy that we use tremendously is our gas rewards. For every $100 a customer spends in our stores, they get 10 cents off a gallon. And that's a cumulative program. And that's been very successful for us. So, and then the other strategies are doing the total meal concept and to go and listing it for just convenience. Like I said, convenience and localization. And we also buy a lot of product from our local providers. So we're part of the community. So the person that comes in will have sign bought from local orchards and things of this nature. So the freshness component is something that has not been addressed online, and because people want to touch and feel. So that's one thing that will never be online from my perspective. But the online, reminding your customer you're always there, and we also do a lot of email blasts out to our customer base just to feature the items we have on sale. So that works very, very well for us. Thank you.
We've got time for one more question. Actually, this goes to our GMDC members on the supply side. The question is, we all know that technology, as fast as it can go and change according to what consumers' tastes are, continues to really disrupt. And feels like there's an endless wave of not only new ways to get product, but an endless wave of new competition coming your way as well. How do you see the next big thing? What's the new technology aspect that you're paying attention to, and what do you think matters to stores?
I'll take that to start and then kick it around. Clearly we're seeing driverless and the whole AI piece, and then also shelf edge technology, let it be for pricing or promotion. So being prepared for that as that's coming forward. There's other things that we see also coming forward. We talk a lot about, and we all experienced the whole porch pirate. Who's going to solve that scenario? That's a big issue right now in online, and how that's taken care of. The other piece is all around just voice. Voice is going to be becoming more and more important as we all order via Google Home, via Alexa, and I think and our team is looking at that the whole mobile experience is going to change because of voice, and to be prepared for that. We need to be mobilely enabled right now with the whole integrated retail, but even more so going forward. And we're probably going to look for a totally different phone system than we see today in the next 5 to 10 years. Probably 5 years, because technology is moving so fast. The other thing I'd want to add is around promotion. Geo-fencing and geo-targeting are real important for us. We're working with a number of our retail partners on that as we try to get very hyper-focused and bring our resources to bear on localization again. So we can leverage geo-fencing and geo-targeting to drive traffic and transactions with our retail partners, specifically around promotions for their stores. So it's a real good tool for us.
Yeah, I agree with a lot that you just said, Peter. A couple of areas that I think we're going to see a lot of change from a technology standpoint. First of all, technology in general has rapidly changed. In the last, say, 5 years, the amount of change that we've seen has been more than we've seen in 20, 30 years probably. But, the supply chain in general, from automation in warehousing to robotics in stores, robots that clean the floors and order product at the same time, checkout, to self-checkouts or no checkouts. I mean, those kinds of things are going to, from a technology standpoint, are going to ramp up pretty quick. The other area is digital and mobile that I think are, although we say we're moving in that direction, it's still in its infancy. And as we grow together, not only as suppliers, manufacturers, but also wholesaler retailers, it's going to become very important. How do we market ourselves to the consumer directly? Tailoring a promotion or a coupon or an event that is directed to that person is going to become more and more important in the future. And it's all going to be about driving that consumer back to brick and mortar. It's not going to be about buying online. It's going to be about how do you keep that foot traffic in the store by using technology of the future. So.
It's great.
Can I add one other thing that we saw that I think we're using right now in a number of our categories, and that would be what we saw in the Alibaba video around QR coding and texting the video. Real important to start as manufacturers to be able to do that. And I mean, we look at Gen Z and millennials, they don't know how to do a lot of these things that are pretty basic projects.
Right.
And if you can serve them right at store level or at home, how-to videos where they text it and they receive a video right back or a link, it's real important, and it's driving additional transactions for us and building that basket right at the store level.
It's great point. The other piece I wanted to add was when we had that Jeff Bezos slide up, it was announced this week as well that Amazon is coming out with more grocery stores in addition to Whole Foods.
Right.
So obviously Amazon understands the need for physical brick and mortar as well, and that touch and feel that we talk about.
One thing, though, that has been addressed is basically the mobile wallet. The mobile wallet, we're in the United States, we're way behind the Asian market. The Asian market is all Alibaba. Everything's done by the mobile wallet, and we have to address that as an industry, and we have to enhance our front-end technology to take the mobile wallet and also give the mobile wallet discounts to the customers through the mobile wallets.
Right.
Maybe I could just add just very quickly about China on that, very quickly on that. You're absolutely right. And what's interesting about mobile payments, the US is a long way behind, but the transformation in China happened within 24 months. I mean, I remember going to Shanghai and everyone's paying with cash and credit cards, and then 2 years later, I'm going into a Starbucks and I'm the only person using cash, and they're looking at me like I'm weird, all right? Because everybody else is on the phones. It flipped really, really quickly. Yeah. And the other thing is just on the Hema stores and what Alibaba are doing. If you want to shop in that store, you have to use the app. They were actually taken to court by a consumer who said, it is my right to use cash, and they have made it now possible. You can buy cash, but it takes 20 minutes because you have to go to a special counter. So what they're trying to do is ring fencing data. They're trying to capture all the data about what you do online and offline. You have to use their app. You have to do it through their system. It's not like this is a nice added benefit. It's kind of a lock-in as well. It's something really interesting how technology works.
Sure, I think you had a...
Sorry, I just want to add one thing to what Peter was talking about in QR codes. And whether it's a QR code or any other type of technology, but that again ties back to everything we've been talking about today with customer experience. When that customer comes into the store, whether it's a QR code or a video, whether it's a recipe on how to use an appliance, I think that is a huge call out and things that we need the vendor community to continue to work on that interaction with the customer. And that way we keep them coming in the stores. Some are going to do that. Many customers do their research online before they come in the store to buy, and they just look and feel and touch in the store. But we also have some that just want to come to the shelf and have that same exact experience. So how can they tell at the shelf what that product is and what they can do with it and what are the multiple uses, especially for housewares?
Great. Well, thank you. If we can put up our thank you slide. We do want to give a few minutes back to you. I know everyone has a very busy day, and I think because of this, we also want to talk to you, if you have a few minutes as well. Could some of the GMDC staff members that are here just raise their hands? If you're not already a member, we would love to spend a couple minutes with you and bring you in not only to this conversation, but help you really connect both yourself and your company to a lot of opportunities for growth that we continue to see in the future as well. And then, of course, this is not possible without a lot of our member support. Acosta, A.T. Kearney, Big Time Products, CNS, Hallmark and Nielsen are all strong contributors and supporters of a lot of the insights that we continue to produce every month and almost every day. So thanks for being here, and let me know if you have any questions. We're going to be hanging out here for another 10 minutes. We'd love to hear from you and answer any questions you may have. So thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.